Lesson 5.3 is the law of cosines. So this triangle setup is the same as for law of sines as far as angle A is opposite side lowercase a, etc., and that makes up our pairs. This formula for law of sines is a little more complicated. C squared equals A squared plus B squared minus 2 times A times B times cosine C. Essentially, you will be solving for C, which is either an angle or a side, depending on what's missing. The other two sides are A and B. Okay, for example, we have 3 lifeguard stands, stand 1, stand 2, stand 3, unique names. The lifeguards want to have a buoyant line, so just like a floating line running to stand 1 to stand 3 to have the non-swimmers know not to go past that, presumably. We want to know how long the line would have to be. So I'm going to call the length of the line X. I'm going to circle it. Then the opposite angle is this 130-degree angle right by stand 3. So in this case, that's our C. So our first step is find C, which is just your side angle pair, or side and angle pair. Kind of like in law of sines, how we always had pairs. And then let's circle those, which we just did. Our second step is to underline the other two sides. Which are our A and B. So 97 and 105. And now we can set it up. So we start with C squared. We're really just using our pairs here on the edges. So if we go back to the formula for a second, our pair that we found is always this C and this C. So we have X squared equals, now we have those other two sides, our A and B, 97 squared plus 105 squared. And this is just the formula, minus 2 times 97 times 105 cosine of 130. So again, if we look here, our pair, which were right here, shows up here and here. And those other two sides show up here and here. If that is helpful, great. If not, well, you can ignore it. And so now to solve here, when they're like this, it's simple enough. You just put all of this in your calculator, making sure it's in degree mode, and we get x squared equals 33,527.58, which is a lovely number, but it's fine. If we square root both sides, we end up with x equals the square root of that number, which is 183.11 yards. So that's the length of that line. The next example is a fairly straightforward one. We want to find AB. First thing we do, set up our pair. So AB, I'm going to call that X. You can call it whatever you want. Opposite angle is 41. Then our other sides, or our A and B, are 29 and 13. So to set this up, X squared equals 29 squared plus 13 squared minus 2 times 29 times 13 cosine of 41. Once again, our pair shows up here. Those are our C's, or whatever you want to call them. It doesn't matter if you call them C. And then our other two sides, here and here, and here and here. And the 2 is just part of the formula. Once again, in this case, if we're solving for the left, put all of that in your calculator. In this case, you get I'm sorry, that's not what you get, that's our answer. We get 440.95. Square root that, both sides, we get x equals 20.998, which is pretty darn close to 21. Sometimes we're solving for the angle. The fact that it's an SSS triangle, if it helps you to keep that in mind, that's fine. But otherwise, we just start by setting it up the same way we did before. So we want to find the measure of the largest angle. Well, the largest angle is opposite the longest side. Since the longest side is 8, we're finding angle C. I'm going to call it X. And so that's our pair. Our other two sides are right here. Again, the setup is the same as on the first page. The only thing that's different is how we end up solving. So now on the left, we have 8 squared equals 5.3 squared plus 6 squared minus 2 times 5.3 times 6 times cosine x. Once again, our C, or our pair, are on the outsides, and our other sides are here and here, and here and here. And again, we have the 2 in the cosine because that's the formula. Solving ends up a little bit different. So 8 squared is 64. 5.3 squared is 28.09. No, I don't know that in my head. That's calculator work. 6 squared is 36 minus, and now 2 times 5.3 times 6 is 63.6. And then I'll bring down the cosine of x. It's really just algebra from here. 64 stays on the left. 28.09 plus 36 is 64.09. Then we still have minus 63.6 cosine of x. If we subtract 64.09 from both sides, because again, our goal is to isolate the x, first isolating the cosine of x, we have negative 0.09 equals negative 63.6 cosine of x. Divide by negative 63.6. We end up with 0.0014 equals cosine of x. And now to get x by itself, or to undo the cosine, we will do inverse cosine. And so on the right side, inverse cosine and cosine cancel out. On the left side, we will have inverse cosine of 0.0014. Okay, so left side, inverse cosine of that, right side just goes to x. And that's just calculator work. And the inverse cosine of 0.0014 is 89.92 degrees. Now we will find the measure of the angle of middle measure in triangle ABC, so the same triangle. Switch colors. So the angle of middle measure, well, the shortest side is 5.3, the longest is 8, so the middle length side is 6. So the middle angle must be B. I'm going to call that Y. And so in this case, that's our pair. And now our other sides are 8 and 5.3. So for the setup, we will have 6 squared equals 5.3 squared plus 8 squared minus 2 times 8 times 5.3 cosine of y. As always in these problems now, our angle side pair, our c's, are on the outside here, the 6 and the y, back up here. And then our other sides, right here and here, and here and here, and the 2 and the cosine, just the formula again. Now to solve, 6 squared is 36. If you put 5.3 squared plus 8 squared into your calculator, unless you could do that in your head because you're magic, that will equal 92.09 minus 2 times 8 times 5.3 is 84.8, and then we'll bring down our cosine of y. If we subtract 92.09 from both sides, well, 36 minus 92.09 is negative 56.09, and that will be equal to negative 84.8 cosine of y. To isolate cosine of y, divide by negative 84.8. So on the left side, we have 0.66. On the right side, we have cosine of y. Let's get rid of the cosine with inverse cosine. So we end up with y on the right side because cosine and inverse cosine cancel. Inverse cosine of 0.66 on the left side. If you put that into your calculator, inverse cosine of 0.66 is 48.7 degrees. And that's it.